Welcome, explorer. You didn't stumble here. You were meant to find this. And to those returning to the Gemstone Kingdom, welcome back. There are stones that shine, and then there are stones that remember. Not all that glitters is gold. Some of it is older. Some of it is watching. These are the relics the ancient world left behind, not to be worn, but to be warned about. Hidden beneath cathedrals, deserts, and forgotten tombs, there exist 10 gemstones that were never meant for casual hands. In whispered texts and banned rituals, they've been called by many names: the eyes of angels, the blood of fallen stars, the bones of Earth's first guardians. But across cultures, there is one chilling agreement. Demons fear them, not because they're beautiful, but because they can see through the dark. Tonight we begin a descent not into myth, but into what myth was built to protect us from. You're about to discover the 10 forbidden stones that demons do not want you to own. And once you know them, you can never unknow them. Our descent begins now, the first of 10 keys, the first forbidden mirror. This stone doesn't shine to impress, it darkens to reveal. If you've ever felt something lurking just behind your thoughts, you may already know it by name. Number 10, smoky quartz, the mirror of shadows. There are stones that shimmer, there are stones that dazzle, and then there are stones that seem to look back at you. In the windswept highlands of Scotland, nestled deep in the Cairngorm Mountains, a smoky crystal has been pulled from granite veins for generations. Not because it sparkled the brightest, no, but because it carried something few stones ever dare to hold: shadow. This is smoky quartz. To most, it's a soft, earthy gemstone with a dusky hue. But to those who've worked the land, studied its history, and watched what this stone does over time, it's something else entirely. It is a mirror, not of your face, of your fear. First discovered in notable quantities in the 1700s, smoky quartz quickly became revered among Highlanders and Druids alike. The Scottish called it Cairngorm, after the rugged mountain range where the best specimens were found. The stone became a symbol of protection, a personal sentinel against evil spirits and unseen energy. Geologically speaking, smoky quartz is a variety of quartz altered by natural radiation. Deep underground, the surrounding granitic rock emits small amounts of radiation that change the structure of quartz over millions of years, turning it from clear to smoky, gray, or even deep black. But the physics tell only part of the story. The deeper truth lies in what people felt when they held it. Ancient Highland warriors wore it into battle, believing it absorbed fear before it reached their hearts. Shamans used it in rituals of banishment, and among burial customs, it was often placed with the dead to shield their souls from spirits who refused to let go. Smoky quartz has since been found across the globe: Brazil, Colorado, Switzerland, Madagascar. But none carry the same mythic weight as those pulled from the ancient Scottish soil. The ones forged not just by geology, but by memory, storm, and silence. Today, most smoky quartz is mined through careful excavation, especially in Madagascar and Brazil, where large crystals form in granite cavities. However, in the Cairngorms, traditional Highlanders believed in reading the fog to find it. Not a superstition, but a technique, watching where morning mist lingered longest on stone fields, believing it clung to buried quartz. And oddly enough, they were often right. When cut and polished, high-quality smoky quartz reveals a dance of shadow and light within. Some stones are as pale as whiskey smoke, others are nearly black, like obsidian trapped in amber. But look closely, and you'll often find wisps inside, like frozen breath or ink suspended in water. These aren't flaws. They're the reason collectors, jewelers, and mystics prize the stone. Low-grade specimens are affordable, $10 to $50 for small pieces, but top-tier, deeply saturated, transparent stones with unique internal phantoms or shapes can fetch $1,000 to $5,000 per carat, especially if they come from historical Scottish or Swiss sources. And in jewelry, smoky quartz is often set alone, never crowded. rings of blackened gold, pendants framed in iron. It's not a gem meant to sparkle, it's meant to watch. Beyond its beauty, smoky quartz is piezoelectric, capable of storing electrical energy. Spiritualists interpret this as symbolic, a stone that literally holds and absorbs energy, emotional or otherwise. It's often used in grounding rituals, especially for those struggling with grief, trauma, or sleep paralysis. Many believe it can hold darkness on your behalf, so you don't have to. That may be why stories circulate about demons recoiling from it, because it doesn't trap them, it reflects them. And if there's one thing entities born of shadow fear, it's being seen clearly. This isn't a stone of glamour, it's a stone of memory, of mourning, of mastery over fear, a guardian, not of treasure, but of spirit, in a world obsessed with brightness. Smoky quartz reminds us that sometimes the truest clarity lies in shadow, and for those who listen, it does more than protect. It remembers what we forget, that not all darkness is to be feared. Some of it is simply where the light goes to rest. If smoky quartz was the mirror, then this next stone is the blade. Forged in volcanic fury, cooled in silence, and veined with color that wasn't meant for this world. It doesn't just protect, it seals. Some say it cuts through curses, others say it seals gateways that were never meant to open. But one thing is certain, it doesn't belong in soft hands. Number 9, obsidian with rainbow flash, the blade that seals. Long before diamonds claimed the spotlight, there was another stone, darker, older, and far more feared. Born not in calm earth, but in violent eruption, obsidian is volcanic glass forged in fire. But among its many forms, one stands alone for its spectral glow. Rainbow obsidian, a blade of shadow kissed by light. Discovered in the highlands of central Mexico and scattered through volcanic fields across Armenia, Japan, and the western United States, rainbow obsidian forms when lava cools rapidly and traps microscopic mineral layers within. These layers refract light to produce bands of violet, green, gold, and even crimson, a subtle flash that appears only when the stone is held at just the right angle. To the Aztecs, it was not a gem, it was a weapon. They shaped it into blades so sharp they could split bone. But more than that, they believed it could cut through spiritual illusions. In sacred rites, priests used polished obsidian mirrors to speak with gods and confront demons. It wasn't reflection they sought, it was revelation. Unlike other stones worn for beauty, rainbow obsidian was often hidden, kept in cloth, buried in pockets, held over the heart. Not because it was fragile, but because it was personal. It was said to absorb the fears we won't say aloud and turn them into something we can see. Modern sources of rainbow obsidian include Mexico Sierra Madre Range and volcanic flows near Glass Butte, Oregon. Extraction is delicate. Miners seek out flow bands in the rock, then carefully flake away surrounding material to reveal the shimmering core. Each specimen is unique. Some flash in tight concentric rings, others like oil spilled on stone. The effect is ethereal, haunting, almost alive. In metaphysical circles, rainbow obsidian is known as the truth blade. It's said to cut through emotional clutter, revealing hidden wounds, and more importantly, hidden strength. Practitioners use it to sever attachments to pain, trauma, or entities clinging to the aura. But there's a deeper legend. Whispers in occult traditions claim demons avoid rainbow obsidian not because of the light, but because of the blade. It's not a weapon of violence, but of exposure. A demon, after all, is a creature of concealment. When confronted with a surface that doesn't just reflect, but amplifies truth, even the darkest entity recoils. Jewelry made from rainbow obsidian is gaining popularity among spiritual jewelers. You'll find it in rings shaped like shields, pendants etched with runes, or even ritual daggers used by energy workers. Though prices vary, from $20 to several $100s depending on clarity, size, and intensity of the rainbow. The true value lies in its purpose, not its polish. Unlike smoky quartz, which absorbs, rainbow obsidian illuminates. It brings the hidden forward. It doesn't protect you by shielding. It protects by showing you exactly what you need to face. And that is what demons fear most. Because while some stones trap darkness, this one wields it and turns it into light. Some stones guard the body, others the mind. But this one, it guards the space in between dream and waking, between this world and the one behind it. Ancient shamans called it the sky trapped beneath ice. Travelers said it shimmered like the moment before sleep or death. And those who've crossed too far into the unknown know it by feel, long before they know its name. Top 8. Labradorite, the veil between realms. At first glance, Labradorite seems unimpressive. A dull gray stone, like slate worn down by time. But tilted under light and something extraordinary happens. Colors erupt, not from the surface but from within. Neon blue, sea green, molten gold, and electric violet shimmer beneath the skin of the stone, like auroras trapped in crystal. This optical phenomenon is called labradorescence, a spectral glow created by light refracting through layers of feldspar. Labradorite's light doesn't bounce back. It breaks, splits, folds inward. It's not a reflection, it's a vision, a glimpse into a world beneath the one we know. First discovered by Inuit communities along the coast of Labrador, Canada, this stone was believed to hold the northern lights. The legend said a warrior struck the rock with his spear, releasing some of the light into the sky and trapping the rest in stone. The Inuits used Labradorite as a talisman for travel between worlds, physical, spiritual, and cosmic. Today, deposits exist in Madagascar, Finland, Russia, and even the United States. But the finest specimens still echo that icy northern magic, stones that glow like cold fire. Mining Labradorite requires patience. Extractors look for dull boulders in feldspar-rich terrain, then split them open, hoping the inside erupts in color. Not all do. The real ones, the powerful ones, hide their flame until they're ready. Jewelry makers cut Labradorite into cabochons to maximize the internal flash. The stone isn't meant to sparkle like diamond. It's meant to shift, whisper, suggest. It appears to change color as you move, catching you off guard, like something alive, like something watching back. In metaphysical belief, Labradorite is known as the stone of the veil, said to guard the threshold between seen and unseen. Worn by empath, seers, and mystics, it's used to shield auras, heighten intuition, and protect against psychic intrusion. Not just from spirits, but from people who would steal your light, drain your energy, or whisper lies into your self-belief. But its power runs deeper. Unlike other protective stones, Labradorite doesn't block. It transforms. It doesn't repel darkness. It transmutes it, alchemizing fear into insight and confusion into vision. Legends say demons avoid it because it alters their frequency. They approach and lose coherence, like shadows under shifting light. And so, Labradorite stands not as a wall, but as a mirror of flux. In a world that demands clarity, Labradorite teaches mystery. In a realm that seeks control, it whispers transformation. And for those standing at the edge of two worlds, this stone offers a bridge, not one that shines outward, but one that glows within. Some guardians shout, some blaze with light, but the most loyal ones say nothing. Jet has no shimmer, no gleam, no invitation. It does not dazzle. It waits. Carved from ancient trees buried for millions of years, then turned to coal, then turned to watchman. This stone is not just old. It is tired of warning you. It protects not by power, but by presence. And in its silence, nothing uninvited survives. Top 7. Jet, the silent sentinel. Jet does not sparkle. It does not shimmer. It does not change color under light or reveal a hidden fire within. It simply absorbs light, sound, presence. And in that silence, Jet becomes one of the most powerful and misunderstood stones in the history of human belief. Found primarily along the coastal cliffs of Whitby, England, Jet is a mineraloid formed from ancient driftwood, trees that once fell into swampy waters some 180 million years ago during the Jurassic period. Over time, under immense geological pressure, the wood carbonized and fossilized into a deep black, lightweight substance. So light, in fact, it can float in salt water before it's polished. But the act of harvesting jet is more archaeological than industrial. No giant drills, no dynamite. Instead, jet is found embedded within soft shale layers near eroded coastlines. In Whitby, it often washes out after storms, scattered among seaweed and pebble. Locals have learned to walk those cliffs with the eyes of hawks, hunting not for gold, but for shadow. A single uncut piece can fit in the palm of your hand, dark as coal but smooth, silky to the touch. Once cut and polished, jet takes on a soft sheen, never glossy, never gaudy, but unmistakably still. In the jewelry world, jet is carved into cameos, mourning brooches, pendants, and prayer beads. Victorian England made it a symbol of dignified grief, but its history predates that by thousands of years. In ancient Rome, Pliny the Elder noted its strange ability to repel snakes and purify water. Among the Navajo, jet was one of the sacred protection stones associated with the north direction and used in ceremonial offerings to dispel evil. In medieval Europe, jet beads were often sewn into children's clothing to ward off spirits, not because the stone had power, but because the darkness inside it did. Prices vary widely depending on quality and origin. Authentic Whitby jet commands anywhere from $50 to $500 for handcrafted pieces, while lesser quality jet from coal byproducts or synthetic imitations flood mass markets. But true jet, the kind formed by nature, not chemistry, feels different. It's warmer in the hand, lighter in weight, and heavier in presence. Spiritually, jet is known for protection and purification, but not in the way of crystals that repel. Jet does not push darkness away. It pulls it in. It accepts fear, grief, anxiety, absorbs it like charcoal absorbing toxin, and offers no resistance. That's why to many spiritual practitioners, jet is not a guardian of the body, but a keeper of the soul. It anchors, it grounds, it remembers. Energy workers describe jet as a kind of psychic vacuum. Left near a grieving person's bed, it will grow heavy with unspoken sorrow. And so it must be cleansed regularly, not with light or water, but with time and salt, letting it release the shadows it has consumed. But legends speak of another kind of fear, one not human. In esoteric traditions from Eastern Europe to the Near East, jet is said to terrify demons not through resistance, but through emptiness. It offers them no reflection, no energy to manipulate, no fear to feed from. Demons feed on vibration, on the frequency of fear, ego, illusion. Jet offers none. It becomes a spiritual dead zone, a stone so empty that no evil can inhabit its silence. That's why jet is rarely used in glamour. It doesn't seduce, it doesn't shine. It protects by becoming invisible. For those who walk with shadows, trauma healers, psychics, grief counselors, shamans, jet is the stone that keeps them whole, quietly, invisibly, without asking for praise. And for those who know its history, for those who feel its weight and warmth and stillness, jet is not just a gem, it is a presence, not a shield, a sentry. And when darkness draws near, this ancient fossilized silence will not scream. It will simply stand its ground, unmoved, unafraid, unbroken. That is the kind of power demons understand, and the kind humans often forget they hold. Some stones guard, some warning, but this one remembers. Forged in earth but marked by blood, this stone does not shine, it stares. Warriors once carried it into battle not for luck, but so their wounds would not go unseen. Every drop of red on its surface is a reminder, not of pain, but of the oath. I see you. I bleed with you. I will not look away. Number 6. Bloodstone, the wound that watches. Blood-red flecks swimming in dark green stone. That's the first image that comes to mind when people hear the name Bloodstone, but few realize just how long this gem has carried the weight of war, sacrifice, and supernatural power. This ancient stone has been revered from the Roman Empire to the Indian subcontinent, used by warriors, priests, and mystics not for beauty, but for its awareness. Geologically, bloodstone is a variety of cryptocrystalline quartz known as heliotrope. It's found primarily in India, Brazil, Australia, and the United States. particularly in regions where ancient volcanic activity once met rich iron deposits. These iron traces give Bloodstone its signature appearance: deep green jasper marbled with spots of red hematite, often said to resemble blood splattered across jungle leaves. Extraction is a mix of old and new. In southern India's Deccan Plateau, families have passed down the techniques for locating bloodstone boulders hidden beneath basalt layers. The process is largely manual, chiseling through iron-rich rock faces, then washing exposed jasper under flowing water to detect the red signature. In Oregon, USA, modern prospectors hike into river valleys and dry washes, using UV light to detect the subtle green glint hiding in stone beds. When polished into cabochons, bloodstone reveals intricate swirls and scattered crimson dots. Each piece is unique, no two patterns alike. In spiritual jewelry, it's crafted into protective rings, warrior amulets, and pendants shaped like shields. Depending on cut and origin, a single piece can range from $30 to over $1,000, especially if it displays the perfect blood drop balance. But beyond the surface lies its legend. In medieval Europe, bloodstone was believed to form at the foot of the cross, drops of Christ's blood falling on green earth and solidifying into stone. Monks carved scenes of the Passion into it. Crusaders carried it into battle, not because it looked divine, but because it was said to see, to sense danger, to anticipate wounds before they appeared. In alchemical texts, bloodstone was tied to martyrdom and vision, not the kind of vision that sees the future, but the kind that sees through illusion. It was said to help warriors remain calm amid chaos, and to give mystics the clarity to distinguish between spirit and trickster. In modern metaphysical circles, bloodstone is used for grounding during crisis. Energy workers claim it creates a biofeedback loop between the heart and the root, allowing the wearer to remain emotionally present while physically protected. Its red flecks are believed to absorb trauma, especially those tied to violence or shame, and its green matrix works to transmute the wound, not seal it off, but integrate it. But it's the folklore that haunts most. There's an old Himalayan legend, shared only among certain tantric sects, that says demons cannot look directly at bloodstone, not because it repels them, but because it reflects their intentions, not their face, their motive. Hold it up to a possessed person, and the spirit inside will falter. Not scream, not flee, just pause, as if caught in its own lie. That's why bloodstone is rarely worn for glamour. It doesn't flatter. It questions. It doesn't attract light. It reveals shadow. For healers, it's a sacred wound. For warriors, it's a second set of eyes. For the fearful, it's a mirror they must choose to lift. Because bloodstone doesn't speak. It waits. And when it sees what lurks beneath, it bleeds, not in fear, but in witness. That is what makes this stone holy. Not its power, but its willingness to bleed beside you. And that is what darkness cannot endure. You're listening to a voice that echoes from the threshold between light and shadow. In our journey through the mystical stones that demons fear, today we stop at rank number 5, Black Tourmaline, the barrier of the Banished. Right now, I'm standing among the ancient granite cliffs of the Orongo Mountains in northwestern Namibia, where some of the oldest geological forces have hidden this legendary mineral for millions of years. But black tourmaline is not exclusive to Namibia. You can find it in regions shaped by ancient magma veins: Brazil, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, and even in the remote highlands of the United States, especially in California and Maine. However, not all sources are equal. Some of the most potent black tourmaline specimens come from Minas Gerais, Brazil, where ancient volcanic activity forged jet-black crystal columns deep beneath the surface, a hidden fortress of Earth's energy. Mining black tourmaline is no simple task. Unlike gold or diamonds, it doesn't come in shimmering veins or alluvial deposits. These black crystals hide inside pegmatite pockets, coarse-grained igneous rocks that must be carefully drilled and cracked open. Too much force and the crystal shatters, too little and it remains buried, like a silent guardian refusing to be disturbed. Black tourmaline often forms in long, hexagonal columns, sometimes larger than a human hand. Its vertical striations give it the appearance of a weathered ancient blade. The color? A deep, absolute black. Not glossy like obsidian, not reflective like onyx, but a light-absorbing black, as if your eyes were gazing into a well with no bottom. And here's the secret. Under the right light, certain rare specimens reveal deep green or violet blue threads running through them, like electric veins frozen in time, whispering of some primal force contained within. Because of its intense energy absorption, black tourmaline has been used for centuries in protection rituals. Across Tibetan temples, Hindu altars, and even in European Wiccan traditions. Feng Shui masters place it by doorways to block negative energy from entering the home. To them, this isn't just a stone, it's a shield. In the marketplace, raw black tourmaline can be surprisingly affordable. Small chunks sell for a few dollars, but when crafted into fine jewelry, bracelets, pendants, or rings featuring stones over 10 carats, prices can range from $100 to $300, depending on origin, clarity, and craftsmanship. High-quality pieces from Brazil or Afghanistan command even higher prices. Yet its real value goes beyond money. For those who understand vibrational frequencies, black tourmaline is not just an accessory, it is the final wall between the soul and the abyss. It doesn't merely protect, it purifies. Some say that simply holding one in your hand calms the mind, silences inner chaos, and stops the whispers from whatever watches us in the dark. You might not believe in demons, but if you've ever woken in the night, feeling something staring at you from the shadows, then perhaps, just perhaps, you'll understand why some people keep a black tourmaline crystal beneath their pillow. And that is black tourmaline, the barrier of the banished. A stone not meant to shine, but to stand. A guardian not of beauty, but of balance. It marks the line between us and whatever waits on the other side of the door. In our search for the luminous protectors, the sacred stones that darkness fears, we now arrive at rank number 4, selenite, the blade of light. This isn't just a crystal, it's a fragment of moonlight trapped in stone, and the legends around it stretch far across deserts, cathedrals, and cryptic rituals lost to time. The name selenite is derived from Selene, the Greek goddess of the moon, a fitting namesake for a crystal that glows softly even in shadow. You'll find its most breathtaking formations in the gypsum mines of Morocco, the vast salt flats of Mexico, and the crystalline caves beneath Naka, Chihuahua, where massive selenite pillars grow like the ribs of an ancient titan. Other deposits are scattered throughout Australia, Greece, and the American Southwest. But no matter where it's found, selenite shares a common trait. It forms in delicate, fibrous blades, often long and translucent, almost glass-like, but never cold. Hold one up to the light, and you'll see bands ripple through its structure, like the folds of angelic wings or the quiet waves of the sea under a full moon. Some specimens reach over 6 feet in length, but even in small hand-sized pieces, the energy they emit is unmistakable. Unlike most crystals, selenite doesn't need to be cleansed. In fact, it's one of the few stones believed to cleanse other stones. This alone makes it a mystery and a threat to any entity that thrives in psychic clutter or energetic chaos. Selenite is most often white to pearlescent, but it can also appear in hues of honey, peach, or pale gold depending on mineral impurities. Despite its fragile structure, it scores only 2 on the Mohs hardness scale. It's been revered as a tool of incredible strength in metaphysical circles. The paradox is clear: physically fragile, but spiritually unbreakable. In ancient Mesopotamia, temple priests would line entrances with blades of selenite, believing it prevented dark spirits from passing into sacred space. In Egyptian tombs, selenite was laid at the head and feet of the deceased, a luminous guide for the soul on its journey to the afterlife. And even today, spiritual practitioners use selenite wands in energy healing, calling it the light sword that cuts through psychic parasites and ancestral trauma. Not with violence, but with clarity. It doesn't burn like obsidian or block like tourmaline. It simply dissolves darkness by making it irrelevant. From a commercial standpoint, selenite is surprisingly accessible. Small wands, spheres, and carved towers often sell for $10 to $50, while large, high-quality specimens or sculpted decor pieces can range up to $200 or more. But few buyers realize they're not just purchasing an aesthetic object, they're holding a ritual blade, a symbol of purity that has outlasted entire empires. Its widespread availability hides a secret. Selenite cannot be submerged in water. It dissolves. Like moonlight reflected on a still pond, too much disturbance causes it to disappear. This delicate nature makes it even more sacred, a tool that exists only if you treat it with respect. I once stood in a meditation cave in southern Spain, where selenite lines the walls like frozen waves. The air felt charged, as though whispers were being swept away before they could be heard. That's the power of selenite. It doesn't fight the dark. It renders it meaningless. Demons, if you believe in them, despise clarity. They thrive in confusion, in the murky edges between emotion and intention. And that's where selenite shines brightest. Not as a weapon to strike, but as a blade that reveals. A blade that shreds illusion, that parts veils, and leaves you face to face with your truth. So if you ever feel the weight of something unseen, a pressure around the edges of your thoughts, reach not for fire, but for light. That is selenite, the blade of light, not forged by flame, but crystallized from silence, a weapon of stillness. And in stillness, demons cannot hide. We've passed through shadows, stone, and light. But now, as we enter the final three, we arrive at a gem that doesn't simply protect, it elevates. This is rank number 3, Amethyst, the crown of clarity. I've held hundreds of stones in my hands, volcanic relics, fossilized bones, cursed talismans unearthed from forgotten tombs, but few hum with the same quiet authority as amethyst. It's not loud. It doesn't shimmer like gold or pulse like Moldavite. It simply clears the fog. Amethyst is a variety of quartz, but don't let that fool you. It is the most regal member of its family, named from the ancient Greek word amethystos, meaning not intoxicated, a clue to its power. The ancients believed this violet crystal could ward off drunkenness, but over time, its meaning deepened, from resisting wine to resisting illusion. Geographically, amethyst is widespread, found in Brazil, Uruguay, Zambia, South Korea, and Russia, especially within the Ural Mountains. But not all sources are equal. The deepest royal purples, sometimes tinged with fiery red flashes, come from the Artigas region of Uruguay, where volcanic geodes split open like dragon eggs to reveal perfect violet cities within. Mining amethyst is less about brute force and more about reverence. These geodes form in ancient lava bubbles, hollow spaces where mineral-rich steam solidified into hexagonal beauty over millions of years. One wrong strike, and the entire crystal lattice fractures. So the best amethysts are harvested with surgical precision, sometimes by hand. When polished, amethyst glows with a spectrum of lavender to deep violet, often shards of frozen twilight. Beautiful, but mysterious. And there is more than beauty here. Amethyst has been used in sacred contexts for over 5,000 years. Egyptian pharaohs inlaid it into burial masks. Catholic bishops still wear amethyst rings, symbolizing humility and spiritual clarity. Tibetan monks carve prayer beads from it, and even now in modern crystal work, it is known as the stone of the third eye. If demons feed on confusion, amethyst starves them. It doesn't repel darkness with brute energy like tourmaline. Instead, it renders you unreachable. It sharpens your thoughts, seals your aura, and centers your spirit like a crown placed gently on your brow. In esoteric traditions, this stone is placed over the crown chakra, the gateway to cosmic consciousness. Practitioners claim it allows the soul to rise above fear, desire, and ego, the very anchors through which darkness finds its grip. Prices for amethyst vary widely. Small tumbled stones can be found for under $10, while museum-grade cathedral geodes from South America can fetch thousands of dollars. Jewelry-quality facetted amethyst ranges from $50 to several $100s, depending on clarity and depth of color. But again, its true value lies in what it unveils, not in what it costs. In my travels, I've seen amethyst shrines inside mountain monasteries, and once, in a ruined temple near Delphi, I found a tiny amulet carved from violet quartz buried beneath charred altar stones, as if it had withstood fire, earthquake, and empire, and was still guarding something, or someone. If you're ever lost, not physically but spiritually, amethyst is the guide that doesn't pull you back, but raises you above the maze. And that is precisely why darkness fears it. Not all demons come with claws. Some come as confusion, self-doubt, and seductive half-truths. But a mind crowned in clarity is a mind they cannot enter. This is amethyst, the crown of clarity, not a weapon, a throne. And once you wear it, even the shadows bow. Some stones come from the mountains, others from the depths of the earth. But this one fell from the sky. Welcome to rank number 2, Moldavite, the Starfall catalyst. To understand Moldavite is to look beyond geology and into deep time. This isn't just a crystal, it's a scar, a memory of impact, a trace of collision between Earth and something utterly alien. Roughly 15 million years ago, in what is now the Czech Republic, a massive meteor, estimated to be over a kilometer wide, slammed into the Bohemian Plateau with a force of unimaginable magnitude. The impact was so violent, it vaporized bedrock and hurled liquefied silica into the upper atmosphere. There, under the pressure of re-entry and cosmic heat, the droplets cooled mid-air and rained back down as green glass. That glass was Moldavite. The best specimens are still mined in southern Bohemia and Moravia, near the towns of Tin nad Vltavou and Besednich. Moldavite isn't found anywhere else in commercial quantity. Every piece is a finite remnant of that one impact, a cosmic fingerprint shaped by earth and sky together. Moldavite is usually olive green, mossy, or bottle green in color, sometimes with hints of brown or rare streaks of gold. It forms in irregular, wrinkled shards, like torn leaf fragments of an alien plant. No two pieces are identical. Its surface is etched by natural weathering over millennia, and those grooves, called sculptation, are like star maps written in glass. When held up to the light, Moldavite glows like it's alive. There's something hypnotic about it, and for centuries, people have agreed. In Celtic lore, it was called the Emerald of the Sky. In medieval times, it was believed to bring prophetic dreams and protect against demonic possession. And in modern spiritual circles, it is known, famously and sometimes fearfully, as the Stone of Transformation. And make no mistake, Moldavite changes things quickly. Many who wear it for the first time report what they call the Moldavite flush, a wave of heat, dizziness, or sudden emotion. This is not a gentle companion stone. It accelerates, it uproots, it brings suppressed emotions to the surface, distorts your dreams, and cracks open whatever shell you've built around your inner truth. It's as if the stone remembers the impact that created it, and when you touch it, that force echoes through you. That's why the legends say demons hate it, not because it repels them, but because it transforms the person they're trying to manipulate. It raises your vibration, and high-frequency souls are very, very difficult to bind. You see, demonic forces don't fear fire or swords. They fear awakening, and Moldavite is the matchstick that lights the soul. But be warned, this is not a stone for everyone. It's often said that you don't choose Moldavite, it chooses you. Many people report needing to take breaks from it. Some even return it, unable to handle the energetic shifts it triggers. And yet, those who embrace it often speak of radical life changes, careers ending, relationships dissolving, truth surfacing, followed eventually by alignment and purpose. Prices for Moldavite have skyrocketed in recent years, as authentic deposits run dry and counterfeit pieces flood the market. True Moldavite, especially from verified Czech sources, now sells for $15 to $50 per gram, with large or high-clarity specimens reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars. I once saw a raw piece set into a simple silver pendant resting on the chest of a woman in the Austrian Alps. She didn't wear it for beauty. She said, "It woke me up. I've never been the same." And that's Moldavite, not a shield, not a sword, a catalyst, a falling star that, upon impact, creates something entirely new, in the world and in you. Demons don't just fear Moldavite because of its celestial origin. They fear what it awakens. Because the moment you remember who you truly are, they no longer have anything to hold on to. This is Moldavite, the Starfall catalyst, a stone of fire born in silence, a cosmic key, and the countdown begins the moment you touch it. We've crossed into darkness, walked through fire, shadow, and starlight, but now at the end of this sacred journey, we arrive at the beginning of knowledge and the final threshold of protection. This is rank number 1, lapis lazuli, the eye of the divine. Few stones carry a legacy as ancient or as feared as this deep blue relic of the earth. Lapis lazuli isn't just a gem. It's a symbol, a language, a gateway, and demons cannot stand the gaze of what it opens. You'll find lapis buried in the cradle of civilization, the mountains of Badakhshan, Afghanistan, where it has been mined for over 6,500 years. From those harsh, wind-carved cliffs, the ancient world was given its first sacred blue, not from sky or sea, but from stone. It was used by Sumerian priest-kings, Egyptian pharaohs, Mesopotamian astronomers, and Renaissance alchemists alike. Cleopatra crushed it into powder to line her eyes. Tutankhamun had it inlaid into his burial mask, and the prophets of Babylon carved prayers into it, believing the words would remain visible even in the afterlife. When you hold a piece of lapis, you're holding history and mystery. Its color is unmistakable, a deep celestial blue, sometimes streaked with veins of white calcite or flecked with shimmering pyrite, like stars embedded in midnight. No synthetic pigment ever quite captures it, because lapis doesn't just reflect light, it reflects meaning. It often forms in opaque slabs or rounded chunks, and when polished, it takes on a rich, regal smoothness. Not glossy, but eternally dignified. It is the stone of philosophers, seers, and silent protectors. Across spiritual traditions, lapis lazuli is linked to the third eye and throat chakras, the centers of perception and truth. It is said to awaken intuition, dismantle illusion, and grant access to inner vision. And that is exactly why darkness fears it. Demons, as folklore teaches us, don't always come screaming. Sometimes they come in whispers, subtle lies, illusions of ego, distortions of memory. But lapis? Lapis is the mirror that doesn't blink. It sees, and what it sees, it reveals. Truths hidden, shadows masked as light, and that is the worst fate for deception: exposure. Lapis is not loud, it does not strike, it reveals. And revelation, pure, piercing, inescapable, is death to any lie. In many ancient rites, priests and shamans would anoint lapis with sacred oils and press it to their foreheads before rituals, believing it opened a line of communion with higher realms. Even now, energy workers place it over the third eye to enter trance states, guided meditations, or lucid dreams. And for those who walk spiritual paths, it becomes a compass, an eye of the divine, always watching, always reminding. It does not allow corruption to hide, and for entities who thrive in secrecy, that makes lapis their most dangerous enemy. Market value varies. Raw pieces can sell for $20 to $50, while high-grade, deep blue specimens from Afghanistan, especially those with rich gold pyrite and minimal calcite, can fetch prices in the hundreds to thousands. Museum-quality stones, especially with historic provenance, are essentially priceless. I once saw a chunk of lapis embedded into the stone floor of a forgotten Zoroastrian fire temple. It wasn't carved, it wasn't marked, it just was, like it had always been there, watching, waiting, guarding something not meant to be disturbed. Because that is what lapis does. It doesn't just protect you from outer demons, it forces you to face your inner ones too. the ones you've buried, the truths you've ignored, the lies you've told yourself. And in doing so, it frees you. So if you've ever felt lost in illusion, unsure what's real, drowning in noise, know this: lapis will not save you, it will show you. This is lapis lazuli, the eye of the divine, the watcher, the revealer, the final gate. And that is why darkness fears it most of all. And that was just the first half. If you've made it this far, you're not just curious, you're awakening. The deeper we go, the stranger and more powerful these stones become. So if you felt something stir while listening, you're going to want to see what's waiting in the top 5. Go ahead and tap that like button, follow the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Trust me, the next stone, even the shadows won't go near it. Until next time, stay curious, stay protected, and stay just a little dangerous.